In this video, I'll share 5 brutal truths about gardening that many growers learn too late. If you're just getting started into the hobby of gardening, you may hear some rumors and things about this pastime that aren't exactly true, or maybe bent a little bit to make it seem magical and perfect, but in reality there are some hard truths that you'll have to come to grips with at some point. But instead of just dropping a bunch of negativity on you and letting you go your way, I'll definitely give you some tips to counteract each of these realities and hopefully have a better experience in your garden. Jumping right in with number 1, which is that it doesn't always save money. I think a lot of people get into the hobby of gardening thinking that they're gonna save money and time at the grocery store. I'll grow my own bell peppers and it'll be a lot cheaper for me to just harvest them right from my backyard. Now, there are some cases where this is true, but you have to factor in all of the other expenses that come along with growing plants, especially growing plants from seed. Trays and pots, the seeds themselves. If you want to grow a lot of different varieties, each seed packet can be $3, $4, $5, and that can really add up to a significant cost. And if you're growing from seed, a lot of people like to use grow lights to get the best possible start. You have to buy a grow light and a timer usually. Then you have to pay for the electricity to run those grow lights for 1 or 2 months in the early season. Pruning shears, potting soils, fertilizers, gloves. There are just so many things that you'll end up getting to use in the garden. So how can you actually save money in the garden? The first is to grow crops that you'll actually use. And then within that list, maybe narrow it down to some crops that are actually really expensive at the grocery store and that can actually cost less to grow at home. Some great examples of this are pretty much any herb, so basil and cilantro, dill, rosemary. These are all great things to grow to save money at home. You can go out into the garden and harvest it when you need it. It'll grow right back for you. Then at the end of the season, you can dry most of these herbs and save them until the next season starts. Other high value crops are carrots, garlic, leafy greens, and then berries, which are perennial, like blueberries, raspberries, strawberries. These are all really expensive at the grocery store, and you can just grow them in your backyard. Other ways to save money, if you're growing from seed, you can use a cold frame outside, or a greenhouse, of course, if you have one, to avoid the need to use grow lights. You can get your seeds started pretty early outdoors by having some sort of covered structure to keep those seedlings warm. You can also save your own seeds. So if you've planted heirloom varieties, and that's important, not hybrid varieties, but if you're growing heirlooms, then you can save the seeds from those every year, and the following season just grow them from your own saved seed stock. Also, starting from seed, generally speaking, is cheaper than buying a bunch of plant starts. Each plant can cost upwards of $1 or $2, whereas a packet of seeds is $2 or $3, and you're getting 10, 20, 30 seeds. So if you're growing a lot of the same crop, it does make sense to start from seed. Now, I don't think gardening is all about saving money for many people. Gardening is a hobby, it's fun, so definitely branch out and plant things that you enjoy and that you'll actually use at the end of the season when you harvest them. The second brutal truth of gardening is that pests are inevitable. No amount of vigilance will keep you 100% pest-free out in the garden. Some places are worse than others, but here in New England, as an example, we have beetles every year, which are a complete nuisance. They chew holes in our plants, and it makes it feel like all the progress that we've made is just being erased. But ultimately, at the end of the season, we still end up with a good harvest because we expect it and know how to handle it. There are also smaller pests which can do damage, like aphids and thrips, white flies, caterpillars, slugs, and snails. And then you have bigger pests like rabbits and voles and deer. The list goes on and on. I remember the first time we had an aphid infestation. I was devastated. I was just totally freaking out about it, and it didn't really get us anywhere, and the problem didn't go away because I was trying too hard to fix it. And I think the way you should actually deal with pests is understand that they're going to be in your garden, sometimes indoors, and most of the time outdoors you will see pests. But more often than not, you'll have beneficial insects coming into your garden to help get rid of those pests. There are many things that feed on aphids. Aphids are like the #1 meal for ladybugs and all sorts of larvae. They're just sitting ducks on your plants, and oftentimes they'll actually attract those beneficial insects just by being in your garden. Outdoors, you can also plant companion plants like flowers to attract those beneficial insects and get them into your garden sooner and keep them around when they do arrive. But ultimately, just take the bad with the good. You have to realize that the garden is going to feed more than just you. It will feed some pests. You will have some berries stolen by the chipmunks or the birds. And most importantly, I think, is to just not overreact, especially outdoors. The problem usually resolves on its own. The third brutal truth about gardening is that soil is everything, and your soil may be terrible. One of the easiest and cheapest ways to get started gardening is to just grow in your local native soil. Remove some grass from your yard and plant a garden directly in the ground. But even if you're starting with beautiful, healthy, strong growing seedlings, if you're putting them into bad soil, it's not going to work out well. I also think a lot of gardeners like to tend to their plants and feel like they're doing something, pruning off parts of the plants or training them up a trellis. And it does feel great to be hands-on in the garden, but at the end of the day, what really matters for growing healthy, strong plants is the soil that they're planted in. As an example, we live in New England and we have very sandy soil where we live. And sandy soil, if you don't know, drains really well, so you don't really have to worry about flooding, but it also doesn't hold on to nutrients very well. And in some cases, if you're not getting enough rain, watering can actually become a chore. There are other locations where you might have the opposite problem, where you don't have enough drainage, you have too much clay in your soil, and that can lead to things like flooding, which can cause root rot and can cause your plants to ultimately die. And then you have things like pH imbalances, where your soil may be too acidic or too alkaline to grow the plants that you want to grow. So what can you do about a bad soil situation? Well, the first thing is to understand your soil. And for that, I highly recommend a soil test. If you're going to be growing directly in the ground, this is one of the best things you can do to get your garden off to a great start. But if you don't want to bother with a soil test, that's totally fine, I understand. And thankfully, there are some really easy solutions that can basically improve any type of soil. The first and best thing that you can do is adding organic material. Compost and other broken down materials like rotted manures and alfalfa meal, things like that actually build the soil structure and add mass to the soil rather than just a liquid nutrient which will feed your plants, but it doesn't feed the soil. For us, compost actually slows down drainage a little bit and holds onto that moisture and nutrients. And if you have heavy clay-rich soil, it will actually improve your drainage, leading to less issues with flooding. So you can make your own compost, or you can start off with some bagged compost from your local nursery, but adding a 2 to 3 inch layer of compost at the beginning of your first growing season will make a huge difference that year, and especially for the years to come. The other thing you can do to help increase your soil's fertility is actually to keep more plants growing in the soil at all times. So it's really not a good thing to have your soil bare, especially over the winter season where you're getting lots of snowfall or precipitation, washing away your nutrients and sometimes even washing the soil itself away, that top layer of soil, which is all important for growing plants. You can keep that in place by growing plants and having root systems growing in the soil. And if you plant the right types of crops like cover crops, legumes, and certain types of grasses, you can actually add nutrients back into the soil and make it more fertile when you plant your actual crops. So having extra plants to throw into the garden when a new space becomes vacant, maybe you harvested your garlic, you can throw some new plants into that soil and keep it planted. The next brutal truth about gardening is that you can't grow everything. For example, we live in New England where we can't grow things like pineapple or other tropical fruits. We can't really grow citrus unless you want to bring the plants indoors every year and move them back outside. But we can grow things like apples and stone fruits like peaches and plums. These are all really easy to grow here in New England. They need that colder season. But if you're near the equator and it's really warm, you don't really get winters, then you won't be able to grow things like peaches and plums, nectarines. You might even struggle to grow things like tulips and certain types of alliums like hardneck garlic, which we can grow up here because those plants require a certain amount of chill hours in order to grow properly. So a couple tips for choosing plants to grow in your climate. I would say just choose what grows naturally in your zone. So again, we can grow apples and Asian pears really easily here in zone 6B. They do really well in our climate and it's a joy to grow them. Also, I recommend just seeking easy workarounds. If you want to grow blueberries, but you have really alkaline soil or it's just not quite acidic enough, try just growing them in large containers and add some acidifying ingredients like sulfur or an acidic type of fertilizer. And the final brutal truth about gardening is that it can be very overwhelming. A lot of people might tell you that gardening is relaxing, and I personally think that is true a lot of the time, But if you don't plan properly and if you get yourself in too deep, you can become overwhelmed really easily and just decide to give up before the season's over. Just some examples at the beginning of the season. Planting seeds is pretty messy. It's nice to do this outdoors, if at all possible. Weeding is another chore you're gonna have to deal with. Weeds don't take a single day off during the season, so neither can you unless you have some sort of preventative measures in place. It takes way more time than you would think, and the larger your garden is, the more of a time commitment it will be. And the harvest window is usually much shorter than you would think, and it can become very overwhelming to get a bunch of ears of corn or 30 zucchinis all at once out of the garden. So some tips to keep things relaxing in the garden. Start small if you haven't started your garden yet. Start with just a handful of plants. Don't go crazy and get all sorts of different varieties and dozens or hundreds of plants in your first season. I guarantee you will become overwhelmed unless you have all day, every day to be out there tending to your plants and dealing with issues as they come up. Or better yet, just start with a few container plants. I think that's a great way to sort of get into the hobby of gardening. You'll learn a lot, and the following year you can scale up. And if you already have an established garden, I recommend just researching plants before you buy seeds. That's some of the best advice I can give is variety selection. Make sure that the plants that you're growing will do well in your climate. If the plant is a stronger variety, it makes much less work for you. So I'm curious to hear from you. What other brutal truths are there about gardening that you've experienced as maybe a longtime gardener? Leave a comment down below. Thanks so much for watching Geeky Greenhouse, and I'll see you soon.